Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 29, 2023. Welcome to the Dani Perro Show here at Hamilton Radio Studios. So excited to welcome my wonderful guest today. I've had you on probably in the beginning when I first started my show.
Yes, you did.
Completely different name, too,
yes,
which we don't talk about now because we're the Dani Perro Show. But also, I'm excited because you are my self-defense fitness coach, and I love working out with you every Sunday, and I can't wait to talk about it more. So I am thankful to have you here, Mr. Jim McCann from PRIMAL Gym.
Thank you very much.
We're going to be talking about a lot of that, too.
A lot of stuff.
Yes. So very excited to have you here. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
And just want to start in the beginning for yourself because as we talked a little bit off air, you know, you kind of first started in the field industry with either being a bouncer or working for a certain type of people, you know, in the industry and stuff like that. And I'm just curious as to how does somebody get a job like that? Like, did you have to have experience in the field?
No, you know what? Okay, so
take me from the beginning.
I'll start at the very beginning. In the beginning. I started as a kid in martial arts and did it my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
7, 8 years old, whatever that time frame was. And then as you train and train, you get to meet people, and as a networking, so to speak. And then people kind of pull you into it. Say, hey, did you think about doing this? And that's kind of how the evolution happened. The pull, right? And it wasn't necessarily something I sought out or pursued.
Okay.
It just kind of, the opportunity was there. And
it happened shortly after being brought up, basically.
Right. That's essentially how I got into that aspect of it.
Okay.
But before that, it was, look, I'd step back because there's a long story. So I started,
don't show your age.
Right. Oh, my God. So, as a little kid, you start regular martial arts. I started off in judo, early 70s, and holy shit. And then
I'm throwing it way back. I'm so sorry.
Oh, my God, back when the Brady Bunch were on. And so I started then, and it did just traditional kind of karate, and that's pretty much all that was available at that time.
Okay.
Now there's a martial art place on every corner. There's a place out here as I was walking in. Right, so there's
just in the parking lot, let alone.
So and you see it in parks, and of course the internet and stuff. You see it on YouTube and all the different things. But it wasn't like that back then. And then at 18 years old, walked into a boxing gym in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
And did I ever tell you this story?
No.
Okay, well, I'll tell you this story if you got time.
I have the time.
I go into a boxing gym in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
And not such a great neighborhood. And I get there, and I'm nervous. Like, I've been doing martial arts. I looked good. Like, I looked like I knew what I was doing. But this was a whole nother level of chaos. And then I walk down. I open this door, and it's a long hallway, narrow, dark hallway with paneling from like the Brady Bunch paneling.
Oh my gosh!
And I walk down this whole hallway, and there's a door, and you hear the bag of people doing around. Punching bags. And I open the door, and I look in, and then I said, fuck, I should run. But then I stayed. And then I'm hitting the bag, doing whatever. And I don't know anybody there. A lot of the more traditional boxing gyms, it's kind of disorganized chaos. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing.
Of course.
Different fighters have different coaches, blah, blah, blah. It's relatively unorganized. And maybe if you're fortunate enough, you'll get a guy who might go, all right, let me show you how to keep your hands up, do whatever.
Try to help you.
Right, maybe. If you're lucky. Depends on now it's changed a little bit, but back then it was, the prehistoric era. And then so I'm hitting the bag, and the guy goes, hey, do you want to, big guy, he doesn't even know my name, because you want to spar. And I'm like, well, okay. So I get in the ring. Now, this ring is maybe 10 by 10. It's not really big.
Tiny.
So the gym, my ring is twice that size.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you go in there, and it's canvas. It's full of blood. Nasty blood stains, snot stains. There's 2 spit buckets like this size on either side, 5-gallon buckets.
Well, that's because of boxing.
Yeah, and full of spit. And it's like they haven't even heard of Windex or anything like that.
No Kleenex.
Right? Nothing. So I get in the ring. I put my gloves on, and the bell rings, and I go and I start dancing them. I'm moving around. I could move really light on my feet.
Okay.
And I'm touching this guy, and I'm popping. I'm thinking, holy shit, I am the man. Right? He's kind of doing nothing. And I don't.
Is he waiting for something?
Well, we'll get there. Okay. Then I'm hitting him, and then I see his hands, and I launch a right cross. I take his nose. I shatter his nose. I put it to his ear. Right? Blood is flying everywhere. Right?
Okay.
And he literally goes. fixes his nose, back to his, and beats the living shit out of me. Like the rest of the round, whatever that was.
Of course.
And
for the sparring.
the room spinning. I'm not going to fall, and then the bell rings, ding, 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 and I'm like, holy smokes! And the guy goes, "You ready for another?" And I said, "No, I think I've had enough for today."
You're done for the
day.
day.
Right. But what I didn't know is that there's a thing called working with fighters. And so this guy knew he was much better. He was going to work with me. He was just getting rounds in the dance in, right? But I've never heard of that. I knew nothing about this.
Got it.
No one explained this to me.
And you just
so I punched the guy as hard as I could. You
used the boxing moves you knew, though, right?
He essentially laughed at me and then beat the hell out of me. But then I signed up. It was $15 a month, and I paid him for a year. Right up front. The guy gave me a key to the gym. I won't mention his name, but this guy, he's had some world champions, the trainer on the stuff. He's since passed away in the last couple of years.
Oh,
but
no.
Ironically, so that's where I started my boxing and kickboxing. And
Did you have any inspirations to kickbox?
No, I just knew I wanted to do it.
Not Rocky?
No, nothing. No, so anyway, this guy, he ended up at the end of his life. He used to train at Primal Gym. That particular trainer, bring in fighters and train them. And his last fighter, the fighter's name was Jacob, that's all I'll say, is that he trained at my gym for a couple of years with this particular trainer. Then he had his last fight April 22nd of 2020, like a couple weeks prior to the pandemic, and then the trainer died. I ran into him at Wawa, and then he passed away a couple months later. He was very old.
But he was one of your trainers? Or one
I trained at his gym. He didn't really spend a whole lot of time with me. He was really focused on professional fighters.
Okay, but you got a feel.
But that was it. So that was the story.
Like a friend, basically.
Right. So that was how I got involved in that.
Okay.
And then I jumped into a bunch of different other martial arts and just consumed myself. I'd buy books. Back in the day, you bought videotapes, right?
You mean cassettes?
Cassettes. And so you'd have to rewind it and then pop it into the thing and watch the moves. And so I trained at a couple different places, but at the time, like I said, there wasn't a whole bunch of variety.
Okay.
So I had to just learn myself. So then I would say, hey, Danny, you want to go train in the park? You're like, yeah. So I'd read the shit in the morning, and you and I'd work it at night, and just kind of made it up for a while.
And just understood it.
Right. And then that allowed me to become a pretty good teacher because I had to learn to communicate stuff I didn't really know much about. At that level, went to seminars and so on and so forth, and started to travel all over the country. Would do seminars with guys, and then hence,
get the feel for things.
Get the feel.
And
really
higher up.
And did really well. I really would work the heck out of it, and really became all consumed with it. Could have been science, but no, it was how to punch someone or choke them. That's
what did you want to be when you grew up? A boxer?
I don't know.
An owner of a gym?
I'm still trying to figure that out. So when I know, I'll let you know.
Even when you were younger?
No, I don't think I had any particular.
They would ask you that in school.
I know, and I would say, I don't know. I don't think I had any particular one way or the other. I was very indecisive. And go back to school. School is one of those things for me. It was very difficult. Like I wasn't a good student. I barely graduated. I barely graduated.
You were a class clown?
No, I was a class. Got beat up. I wasn't very big. Right, so here's the rub. So you start karate as a little kid, right? So when you're in 7th grade, when you're 13 years old, 12 years old, and you weigh maybe 100 pounds, and then Bobby next to you is 6 foot tall at the same age and 220 pounds, your karate doesn't mean shit. So I've had many atomic wedgies,
tried to learn.
Shoved my head in lockers. Okay. I would try to.
Bullied.
And the crazy thing is I did try to fight back, and I did fight back, but that probably just prolonged my beating. I probably would have been better to roll over and play boss and let him beat the shit out of me. But no, I had to punch him back. Take that.
You're supposed to stand up for yourself for
comfort. Yeah, well, it worked real good until I got shoved in a locker and locked in there for days.
That's terrible.
Right, it was terrible. But that's how that all went. And then, anyway, so the long story later on, then I had pursued a ton of stuff and just have been consumed. But to this day, I still study, as much as I can every day on whether it be a book, go back and rereading a book, going back and watching a DVD or a YouTube video.
Okay, so you like to still research
nonstop. It never has ended with me. And there's a constant hunger and a thirst for that knowledge. Because I don't, despite me thinking I know everything, I don't. And sometimes, too, it could just be the information, and this could be any topic, that maybe something you read, there's a golden nugget there, and then you can take and go, I can use that, or expand upon it, or maybe someone teaches something or opens your eyes to something.
Yeah.
And then you go, I can do something with that, make it better, improve what I'm doing, maybe change what I'm doing altogether. So there was, it might have been a Bruce Lee thing, I don't know, where I originally heard this, but I approach as I'm open to everything and attached to nothing. Right? So that allows me the freedom to explore the possibilities. That if I show you how to throw a punch, a jab a particular way, or a kick, or whatever, the guy the next karate school down the road might teach you slightly different. Doesn't mean I'm right and he's wrong, or he's right and I'm wrong.
Well, it's the way that you teach us.
Right.
Which is the reason why I prefer going to anyway. Just saying.
Right. So
it's just the certain type of, you know so much about it, obviously. I hope.
Hopefully.
And it's more the fact that, sure, you definitely make it fun, you make it challenging, you make it worth the while, everything like that. For a class, for any certain type of self-defense, training. It's more of also understanding what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? What is it doing to my body? How is it helping?
Right.
And seeing results afterwards are huge, type of situation where it's very accomplishing for me and you as the coach.
Right.
But if you go somewhere else and they teach you something, sometimes it's not even what they charge or whatever, but it's also like when they teach you, is it actually what you want to learn? It may be way too much for you.
100%.
We all know different things or we are taught different things.
Right.
It's just easier for me to do hands-on.
100%.
Tactile.
Right. So when you have a personal trainer, and there's different levels of everything in every field, and how you mesh with that trainer, how you communicate. Can they inspire you, make you grow? Do they have
socializing is a huge part of it. Having him on my show is a huge part of it.
Right. It's true. I trained a new guy today. Came in, and then after the session, he goes, "How much you owe you?" And I said, "Nothing." I said, "Because the first time, I don't know that we're a love connection." Now, I don't know if I want to go on. I don't want to know if I want to go on a second date, and so to speak. And it's important because we might not mesh for whatever reason.
Of course.
I say, well, look, I'm not ready for this relationship. It's me. It's not you.
We've all heard that in our lives.
So that could be it, and that's important. Then I'm not trying to take them for the money. That doesn't work for everyone. That works for me.
Of course.
But like I said, you go to places, depending on how they communicate with you, get you motivated. Some people, because they have this big list of.
Some other places could be too overwhelming.
Totally.
And I said, prefer, and I'll say it again. It's more the fact that I prefer going to a gym, having a coach versus just going to a gym and doing machines.
Right.
Because sometimes when I go to a gym and do machines, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
I don't even know if I'm doing it correctly.
You can really get lost there.
Or you can get hurt.
Right. Often what they'll do, a standard thing for a gym might be, in a regular gym. I'm not a regular gym.
No, you're not. And we're going to talk about that.
Right. So when you go into the place and then, you get assessed, which is just a selling point for the most part. And then what they'll do is they'll take you around, give you a little workout, and they'll write up a workout to you, which is cookie cutter, pretty much cut and paste. You do this, and then if you want personal training, that costs this, and then you come back and see me in a month.
I was going to say one of the gyms, not to mention a name, but normally all of them have that, especially when you do a free trial.
Right, that's the
you get one free class.
I get it, because most people don't know what the hell they're doing anyway. Or the worst thing is they think they know what they're doing, and that's the problem, right? They
hurt themselves thinking they did it correctly, and they're like, oh, this pain is because I did this, and it's like you did it wrong.
That happens in martial arts and boxing all the time. You have usually young guys, and they come in and...
I've done jiu-jitsu. I did 2 classes of that.
Oh, you did?
That's too complicated for me.
Jiu-jitsu is, look, it's a great art, and again, up to the particular teacher, so much, but it is more complicated initially to get you up to speed, but it takes a little bit longer of a track, but it can be great.
It can be.
And it's
not
just
good
part
for me,
of the whole. For me, it's just part of the picture. I'd like to do a little bit of everything, not just,
So that's what I feel like with you. You also had an opportunity to kind of definitely dabble in the arts, where you did do a little bit of everything.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you're still technically doing it, regardless of you owning the gym and you wanting to be a coach for every class that you do and everything like that too. Yeah. But within everything that you have done previously, what would you say maybe is like your most favorite?
You mean martial art to do?
Martial arts, kickboxing, any of the fields that you were in.
You know what?
Like, is there anyone that you love more than the other?
I don't think so.
Are they all babies to you?
Yeah, they are. You know, all have their issues.
Or does it depend who it's with?
Right. No, I really enjoy it all. Like, if I'm just teaching boxing or training boxing, I'm fine with it, or kickboxing. If it's close quarter combatives or self-defense or Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee stuff, or catch wrestling or BJJ or whatever, I love it all. And I often blend them together too, like at the best I can.
Or add them.
Where they can meet up. Right. It's a nice buffet of, whoop ass. And I like to pick and choose and kind of blend things that might not be necessarily blended, but it has to make sense.
Of course.
So I do that. I think about the end game. Not everyone you're going to train. Most people, 99%, are never going to compete. They're never going to fight it at any level. So they're doing it for health and fitness and overall feeling good about themselves, maybe a little bit of self-protection.
Not to lie, we actually did have a fight once, but I didn't do good at that. I had to take my glasses off, and then you just won after that. I remember that, the old gym.
Right.
But I think it's also because you're teaching and you're showing me the different types of punches and different jabs and stuff like that. So it's me building myself up to remembering the combination, the coordination, everything, and then eventually maybe trying to do a fight again sometime. Later down the line when I'm ready.
Right.
Or add the kicking into it.
Right.
But it's more of like the field that you're in right now can go so far.
Right.
Still probably to the extreme. Have you done everything in the field? Do you feel like there's more that you haven't gotten a chance to do besides the martial arts or
No,
karate?
I mean, I've just really been fortunate. So part of the story is back in the early...
Going to show his age again.
Right, no, in the 90s, right? So I was exploring, I traveled to Virginia to go to a seminar. And I met a couple really good guys there and became lifelong friends. And opened me up to other martial art guys who were located in Texas and other places, and got that hookup, again, networking kind of a thing. And as a result of that, opened up my eyes to a whole nother world of stuff. And then, so after that, I had a little place in Lambertville, New Jersey, above a firehouse, more of a fight club. It really was some real tough guys. Yeah. So you're not going to build a martial arts gym in Lambertville. Like if you had a trinket shop or selling something like that, or that'd be great, but it wasn't designed for that. It was just designed for us to beat the hell out of each other, and we did. Excuse me. So one of the gentlemen, Hawk, his name is, great guy, phenomenal martial artist. I've been training with him since the 90s, and he said in one of his visits, because I would pay for people also to come up to my school. So another instructor like me, an expert in a particular kind of martial art, I would pay them a fee, and they would come to my gym and teach, and I would charge the participants to cover the cost of having them.
Both of them,
essentially, kind of like hiring a band or whatever it might be. So Hawk came up, then he goes, do you ever think about doing a DVD? We still had DVDs back then.
We still have them now. It's more digital.
Right. So then, and then he says this to me, and I go, me? I'm not pretty enough. You're not
a Kardashian.
Right. What are people going to say? And you really, God is my witness, you start thinking in your head, am I good enough? Am I good enough? There's always that self-doubt on anything we do.
Yes.
And that can be a healthy fear, because that makes you work much stronger to achieve that goal, especially at fighters, because if you're not working out hard enough, your opponent might beat the snot out of you. But anyway, so I had this in my head for a couple of days, and I said, okay, I'll do it. I flew to Dallas. We filmed the first one. It sold a ton of DVDs. As a result of that...
Where's this DVD? I didn't even know you were on DVD.
I've been in 20 TV... I didn't produce... Someone produced them, but I was starting 20 some odd DVDs. And then some other people's as well. All instructional and different things.
Okay.
And
awesome.
they sold a ton. But anyway, the result was then Hawk would be at a place, let's say Chicago, we'll use that because I remember that one specifically. And he goes, Jim, do you think you could come out here and do the seminar with me? Because they really can't afford to pay you, but I think it would be good. And that was the case. So I had to take the risk and go, shit, can I afford at the time, to fly to Chicago, put myself up in a hotel, feed myself, and then fly back for no money over the whole weekend, right?
With your own money, basically.
Right, with my own money, right? You had to, right? You're putting money into your own business.
But it's exposure.
100%. So I went out and did it, and then people loved it. I did a really good job, apparently. And then what happened is, at the seminar, they say, hey, there'll be different school owners there, and they go, can you come to our gym like in May or something like that? I go, sure, let's talk. And then so that was the beginning of when I started doing seminars. As a result of that, I've traveled the entire world. I've been almost everywhere you can imagine.
Did you go to Greece? Have you been doing?
I've been all over the world.
Okay. It's beautiful.
Right. So, and essentially same thing. They would pay me they'd fly me to wherever, and I would do whatever, often stay at their house or at a bed and breakfast or a hotel or whatever.
Enjoy the luxury part of it.
Right,
yeah. Seminar.
No, it was work. I mean, anyway, I'll step back for a second. So yeah, I would go, I'd do the session, come back. Years later, I've done probably 400 seminars. In 10 years, I did over 300 seminars. That is one seminar every other weekend for 10 years.
Oh my God.
On average.
That's crazy.
Right? So
you're like a motivational speaker on top of it.
So the seminars could have been Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Virginia.
But they're all
could have been Belgium, London, Canada, Australia. It could have been anywhere.
Yes.
Right? So that allowed me, and it exposed me to all these. And then as a result of me going to that seminar in Virginia, I got friends all over the planet that I communicate with to this day, very close with.
Yeah.
I don't get to see. I see them every couple of years. If I'm there or they're here, we're sure to hook up. Like I could go to the UK, I'm sure, and have 20 places to stay, and free food and drink. But
people know your name everywhere.
Well,
right?
and they're great people, and that I've been so fortunate, and so blessed to have been able to meet and interface with, and then, that's kind of how it just grew fantastic. And that and I was still teaching, by the way, all this time at different places. Sometimes fitness centers, sometimes parks, some small gyms and stuff that I created.
So do people still reach out to you? Well, even with your gym right now,
right.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Right.
Do people still reach out to you to coach? I know Wednesday or tomorrow, most likely, you are currently coaching.
Yeah, I'm going to a gym in South Jersey, to Joel Baines. It's the headquarters of Snake Pit USA.
Okay.
Joel is a phenomenal grappler. I actually used to coach him years ago, getting him ready for some fights. And in turn, he did coaching for me as well, and his expertise, so we kind of traded off that way.
Which is good, because that's how you make friends.
Right. And then we remained friends, and for a number of years. I've known him for quite a while. And so he just, in the last couple of years, opened up a gym down there, the headquarters.
Yeah.
And he asked me a couple of weeks ago, just through a conversation, could you come down? I ran down there real quick and jumped in on a class. So as a guest, I'm going down for the night to train some of the just regular students and some of the fighters, to get my point of view.
Of course.
Joel is trained by me in striking and boxing. He's got his own take on it, and they'll just see a different take, sometimes a different insight.
That's what I'm going to say, going to show like a different side of it, basically.
And I might see something he didn't see, and that's why it's
or
good
to help with the
right.
other. Now, are you doing individual coaching with all of them, or
no?
it's
Just a big group thing,
okay.
Right?
But you still watch each one.
Absolutely.
Where they get that that one-on-one.
So the thought process behind that is that sometimes having a new pair of glasses on the situation is important. When I had the big version of Primal before the pandemic closed us down.
The second one.
Yeah. I had like 10 coaches there. So it would often take a fighter, and we worked very well together. And sometimes I'd say, okay, now you take Dani, because I want you to work this with her. I think she needs this. And they'll put their spin on whatever it is.
To see what works
and you might have tuned into something. You might also thought it was a complete waste of time. There's that possibility. But we all worked very well together. Same thing with our fighters. We had a lot of fighters there. A lot of fighters in MMA and in boxing and kickboxing all at one time. So there was a lot of wealth of knowledge, a lot of active fighters. So it was a good place for them. And none of that, with that, we just had regular people just going to the gym to get in shape,
So then, shortly after all of this, which I'm so excited to bring this up, because I'm like, how the heck did all this turn into you wanting to have your own gym?
Right. How did I want?
How did it all turn into you wanting to have your own gym?
Oh, jeez. Well,
like you working and doing like all of that.
Right. I guess I was in the I was in the corporate world.
Okay.
And I was doing pretty well. I was making good money. Had a company car, had like 6 weeks vacation. So there was a lot of good stuff about that.
Good perks.
Right. Yes. Good perks, and was paid well. And it wasn't them. It wasn't a bad company. It didn't have a bad boss. But it wasn't my passion. And I got to tell you, I just hated it after a while.
Really?
Yeah. Because.
Why? Because, it sounds like it was sad.
Right, but it wasn't allowing me to shine. Right? So.
It's not what you wanted to do.
Not goddamn all. So on Sunday afternoon, you get like butterflies in your stomach, like you're going to be sent to the principal.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm a grown badass motherfucker, and I'm worried about going to work. I'll kick all their asses, Yeah. And so that got in my head, and it took a while, despite knowing better, just like any addiction or bad habit or procrastination. Why do something today when you could do it tomorrow? So we put that off, and that was only a mental block, only that I created, right? And then finally, essentially got to where I just said, heck with it, and just jumped out of the plane without a parachute, so to speak, because I had no game plan.
Okay.
I had no gym.
So you just quit.
Right.
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey. You're done.
No 2-week notice.
No, nothing. You just go.
You just didn't want to do that route.
Didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
Right. So
not even for the money or anything.
It didn't matter.
Okay.
Because you got to save your soul. It's not who I truly was. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who do jobs for a long, long period of time to hate it and have to because they have to feed the family. Very respectable. I'm not. But for me, I was, and I can tell. When my youngest daughter was born, I was working for this company, and this is a true story. It's very sad, but my wife was giving birth to my daughter, and I had a big presentation coming up that week. It was like over the weekend, Saturday.
I hope you were with your daughter when she was being born.
Oh yeah. Well, but not really. I'll explain. Right. So I'm there. Okay. Right. Which seems common sense, but when you're sick, when you're involved, not in the right thought process, you're not. So she's having the baby, and I'm like, in my head, a thought, just being brutally honest, I was thinking, I wish she'd hurry up. I got to go do a report. That was an exact thought.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's terrible, but it's true.
But is it because it was strict on you, the job?
It was just very demanding.
Yeah, that's why.
And more said, I put probably undue pressure on myself to perform, but that's not it. But I share that thought with people because often in life, we know that we should be doing something else, that there's another calling, that we should be doing something, but despite that, we still do it. That was that epiphany, that Oprah aha moment, as they. And I went, I need to get out of here. It still took time. I still hadn't suffered enough in my mind. I needed to go longer. Then the opportunity came to open up, a gym. A couple of years later, I did some other stuff prior to opening up the gym because that's a big process.
Was it like maybe when you were coaching at different places, you were like, oh, maybe this would be great if I start my own kind of
business? I always had that thought. Then you have to figure out the finances. Do we have
big part?
Right, and then
the square footage, what you want to put.
Right, and there's no real rule book. There's no how to specifically do this. Right? Did anyone tell you how to do the radio show?
I grew up with radio from my father when I was born.
But you still kind of just picked it up and got a...
It was all on paper and pen when I was younger.
Bullshit.
Now it's just talking.
Right, so then you start out, whatever that business might be, and you're making stuff up. You're doing your best at whatever, and you don't know what, is this the better decision or is that the better decision? You're trying to make everybody happy, but you can't make everybody happy.
Unfortunately, that's just
so, so you live and learn, and, there's some painful losses, as a result of that, financially and other things. But you have to keep marching forward, and that's essentially how it happened. And it worked out really well. It went from around 2,000, 3,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet, and it was growing. It was doing fantastic. I had, did a radio show with Hamilton Radio for a while.
We want to bring you back.
Right, that's what rumor has it. We're in negotiation. I don't know if you can afford me, but
we'll see how it goes with your.
We'll see how we go. And then did a podcast.
PRIMAL Radio.
I had a promotion company that was promoting fights and stuff like that.
You had merchandise.
Right, so it was going really well, and then of course the pandemic
affected it,
and you just couldn't survive that. Weren't allowed to do business in the lovely state of New Jersey.
It was a big hump that we all had to overcome.
100%, and they just couldn't do business.
And we're doing our best to rebuild.
Rebuild, right.
Where nothing hopefully happens in New Jersey anytime soon.
Right, I understand, right.
But I wanted to know, out of like all the places, because this is your third building technically?
Right.
Officially. Why Primal? Why Primal Gym?
Why the name?
Why the name?
You know, I tell you, one of my students, well, there was a friend of mine, Mike Blesh, and Steve Rizal had Primal Academy in California. It was a small little gym, and I always kind of liked the name, but I never thought about kind of stealing it or borrowing the name, and I didn't. But I was trying to think of the name. Here, I'm trying to come up with, Jim's Karate, Cobra Kai. I think that was taken, and
that's a big show now on Netflix.
Yeah, that would have been the top. And said a girl I trained, Joanne, and she just said, "How about Primal Gym?" I haven't seen Joanne in years. She actually said this to me. I want to give her credit. And then, and I said, "Wow, I like that." Right? And then that's where it came. Then I'm trying to create the logo. So
this is what I need to talk about.
Right.
Go on.
And so the logo, I had hired someone once to do it, and I would say they fell short of the glory of God.
Okay.
For whatever that fee was. And I said, "Fuck this. I'll figure out how to do it." Hence, I created the gorilla, the logo. Every logo I designed.
Why the gorilla?
What's that?
Why the gorilla?
Just because it's cool. It's cool.
Just different.
It's different. I even had people go, it could scare people away. And I said, good. I don't want to teach everybody. But I'm a different animal. I'm not for everybody, nor are they for me. So once they come in, they see, hey, it's a cool place and it's welcoming. It does have that image of maybe being a little bit more cutting edge, that's okay.
It is a little overwhelming,
right?
Just in the beginning, also going there, just because when you walk in, you see a ring.
Right.
That's the very first thing you see.
Right.
I mean, normally, and punching bags and all your other conditioning equipment, but it's more the fact that like when you go to a gym, a ring. Like, that's the last thing you think you would see.
Right.
So that's the reason why I think you just are more put on top of the map, because seriously, I've never, any gym I ever went to besides yours, had a boxing ring.
Right.
I feel
unless you went to a regular boxing gym.
Correct. Or maybe like the only places I could think of is maybe like Trenton or like other certain types of, or Philadelphia had that type of, certain culture.
You might see one at a title, but that's a little bit soft.
But it's just like, it's so strange to me.
It is. And
it's like, you have a ring in your gym?
People would come into my gym and there'd be guys getting ready for MMA fights in the cage, right? Guys in the ring banging the shit out of just killing each other, right? And there's guys over in the corner knife fighting, and then there's a bunch of women doing burpees, and all in 20 feet of each other. How did that survive? It was so cool that it just did. I don't know if I was a genius and made it happen, or I just created the environment to allow it to happen.
It's so convenient.
Right. So in this version, we're going to create the same thing to the best of my ability, at a little bit smaller level, until it gets back up and big again. But absolutely. When people come to me for fitness, do you ever box? No, I don't. And I sometimes encourage them to do some boxing because it's fun, it's engaging. At the end of the day, you get to learn how to punch somebody, and you might have to punch somebody to get away or whatever. Not asking you to, but you might have to. And then as a matter of fact, I'll give you an example. There was a girl I trained. She was a physicist, and from Princeton University, a real top-notch physicist. And she had some health issues, but she came into me. Very quiet, demure kind of thing. And then we started boxing and doing some fitness. And then I introduced her to some weapons training, some knife, stick, sword kind of stuff like that. And she absolutely loved it. But she couldn't believe how much fun she goes, I really enjoy this.
I remember knife fighting. That was fun. Right. We did that one.
It's not so you go out at knife fighting. There's other
different ways of part of it. Yeah.
Right. And she became like, a serious student for a long time until she got transferred to MIT, where she took another job there, so she had to. She left, but there was a story. She was, I think it was New Zealand, but she was on the other side of the planet, and someone broke into her room in the middle of the night, and then they scared her. And I don't know if they accidentally walked into her room or if they were trying to rob the room or whatever. I don't know all that aspect. But she jumped up out of bed, out of a dead sleep, and threatened the guy. I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. And she stood up in a boxing position, right? They ran out of the room, and she calls me up. She goes, Jim, I can't believe I scared this person. She goes, I'm not sure what I would have done had they wanted to fight, but I scared the living shit out of them.
Because she did it like that.
Right, awesome. She jumped up and got in her boxing stance, and that's great. And she was so thrilled.
So proud moment.
Yep. Right, and say, holy smokes, because had she not done that, maybe the situation would have been different.
Of course.
And I'm not sure I taught her anything special, but maybe allowed her to be that confident.
Even the courage that you gave her,
100%,
for that.
That's a huge thing. That's another, with the martial arts or whatever you do get a confidence that transcends you being in the ring.
You get an ego too.
Right, and that, to other aspects of life, whether it's the office or whatever job you have. And some people, look, I've trained people that outside of that world of the gym, the rest of their life may have been chaos. And that was their only solace. That allowed them to be out of their head for that hour or two, whatever they spent there, which is pretty important,
It's just different when you come, when I come on a Sunday, I'm hella tired, I'm exhausted, and then whipped into shape, and then I want to go back to sleep, and that's it. That's my Sunday. Right. That's pretty much it.
Right. The nice thing what we do is, I'm not always with you and with other people. I don't have it so written down on a piece of paper. It's very intuitive.
Just what.
I go, okay, I want to do this. Let's see where they are mentally, where their energy is today.
Yes.
And see what I can push out of you. A little bit more. But sometimes you got to go a little bit less, and you take on different aspects. Whether it's doing meditation or breathing, or just push-ups or burpees. Stretching. There could be 200 different things we can do.
Of course.
Being exposed to all those things, I'm very fortunate to be able just to, boom. Like when I go to the gym, when I go to my own gym and train myself, I don't always have an idea of what I want to do. I'll just...
Because you train too, right? Like do you still train, or do you still work out for
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, but often it's just, okay, today I'll do 10, 20 rounds on the bag, and then boom. Like not long ago, so my son and I will do something where we'll, like once a month or whenever, we kind of get around to it. Been a little bit now because I'm busy with other stuff. But one of the things we do is 500 burpees. And how we do that is we do, and it sounds worse than it is.
But I don't have to do that.
All right, well, we'll start this weekend. So what you do is you do 10 burpees every minute. So you have 1 minute, the clock's running, you do 10 burpees. So if it takes you 20 seconds, you have 40 seconds left to rest. When the bell rings again, you do 10 more burpees. So you have to keep up a certain pace. To do 500 burpees takes 50 minutes, all right? So that's
why you guys are in shape.
Right, and what happens to me is it's more of the challenge of my mind. It's not even I can get to cruising speed, meaning I can just get there and go. So you'll learn, though, if you do too many burpees too fast, you fatigue quicker, right? So there's a pace that needs to be set. Kind of like when you drive down the turnpike, go at a certain speed where you're passing people but not doing this. The police won't pull you over, right? But you're going fast enough.
Cruise control saves you.
So that's how we do it. And then after that, we do 500. I think it's 532 push-ups. And we start at 32. I think that might be 528. But we start at 32 push-ups. Do 32 push-ups. Take a break. There's no time limit. Then you do 31 push-ups. Then you do 30 push-ups. And all the way down to 1. And the interesting thing for me, around 11 push-ups, which I'm shot. I'm like, it's very tough to do it. You have to focus, and the rests become longer. We try to do it as fast as we can. Of course, I got a 20-year-old son who's a fighter, and I'm like, I got to keep up with him. He can't beat me yet.
You do what you can, yeah, of course.
Right.
But you're still in shape, no?
Hopefully, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Right, and again, that's fully for my mind. I don't know what real outside of exhaustion. So
But that's something you like to do, right? You like to get up in the
morning
morning and go directly to your gym. Like everybody get out of my face, I'm going to the gym.
David Goggins, he talks about you got to suffer, and he trains that hard for his mental. And I absolutely identify with that 110%. Sometimes you got to push yourself to where you, not every day, to where you can. More likely that people aren't pushing themselves enough in the gym or whatever they're doing.
Of course.
They just kind of go through the motions. And there are those days that we just go through the motions, but we showed up there. There's a great story, and I don't know where I heard it, but it was about a guy who joined like a Planet Fitness or a Retro.
Okay.
And an obese guy, maybe let's say 300 pounds. I don't know.
You told me about that.
Right, and he went.
Tell the listeners.
Right, tell the millions of listeners. He went to the gym for 5 minutes a day for like a month. Just went to, and maybe got on the treadmill, walked for that 5 minutes, I guess, and then went home. And then someone was like, well, why would you do that? All right. Well, he was building the habit of going and showing up, getting home from work, getting in his car, driving to the gym, getting out of the car, walking across. So all this takes a shitload of time. In the car, scan your card, go to the treadmill, walk for 5 minutes, walk home. And then all of a sudden, that becomes 6 minutes. It becomes 10 minutes. Too many people go, God damn it, it's not happening fast enough. We want a microwave solution for something that needs to be slow cooked in a smoker or a crock pot. You know what I'm saying? We want it done yesterday.
We do. And the other thing is, I feel like when you're on a treadmill too, even if you're depending on the resistance or the certain type of time that you're doing, you're trying to do your best to just burn the calories.
100%.
And you're actually killing yourself more because you're not physically, mentally ready for
100%.
it. Like somebody will go on for like an hour, you know, and their legs, I can't feel my legs, but I just burned like 600 calories.
Right.
So that's mostly where it comes from too.
Right, just trying to burn calories. In reality, you know, if you're trying to lose weight or do something, you need to do resistance training like we do, whether it's body weight or light weight. I'm not saying you should do cardio or interval training. I love interval training more so. But
what's interval? Is that
like with the burpees, like we do, how the time set we do.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
So short bursts of energy for a period and short rest versus getting on a treadmill for an hour. That will burn calories. Often people just get obsessed with that, and then they're not really doing any resistance training,
correct.
which will help you burn calories more efficiently, better, make you a better athlete.
But see, they don't know that. They don't have a coach like you, or they don't have somebody that
they might
directs
not,
them.
you know, where they're just blissfully, you know, ignorant to it. You know, but just getting on that. I mean, I've known women who would spend an hour and a half in the gym a day. You know, they do the treadmill, the bike, and the elliptical, half hour each, and you're like, good Lord, you look like you need a sandwich, you know, because there's no muscle tone.
Yeah.
It's just,
it's all
you're
cardio.
thin.
It's killing
all cardio. And you will lose muscle mass if you do an overabundance of cardio. All of it's good. You have to find that magic formula for you. That's why you got to experiment with different kinds of thoughts, methodologies to make it work. You know, there's not a cookie cutter way to do it. You know, and often that happens. It's like, okay, they're at this, we're going to do these, and that's when you buy the program online, or you know
then you put it away afterwards and never use it again.
Or that new machine, you know, and that's, you know, so when, like, going back to when people come in, having fun doing boxing or kicking or whatever else and crazy exercises you would not normally do at Retro or Planet Fitness, it's certainly a lot more fun. And yeah, I'm yelling at you.
That's a bonus.
Throwing medicine balls at you.
So I wanted to talk about your opening. So your opening date officially is?
Friday, September 1st.
Which is
a soft opening because it's a holiday weekend, but that's officially when
you planned on opening it.
Right, and I knew that, but I said, so it's not going to be.
Are you open the weekend for Labor Day? Are you going to be closed on Labor Day?
I'll be open.
Okay.
I'll be open. I'm there all the time. When I had the other gym, I was there constantly. It was just, and that going to whip it back, like when you open, this is my passion kind of doing this.
Yes.
However ridiculous it might be, is that it's not work for me. So most people would not be at their accounting job for 15 hours a day. Right.
Well, you love it.
Right. So
you're used
to it. When my
and
gym was up. And
you're in a safe area.
Right. When I was up I'd get up at 3:30 in the morning, be at my gym at 4, do a quick cleaning, make sure everything was set up stuff, and check emails, follow up on whatever nonsense I had to do.
Yeah.
And at 5 o'clock, I had my first client. At 5 o'clock, we had maybe 30 women in there for class, a couple of my instructors in, and then I would go till 10 o'clock at night. 5 days a week, and Saturday and Sunday, maybe half a day, 12 hours.
What day did you get sleep?
Not yet. No. I was very efficient. I just slept very
energy
fast.
drinks. That's what we talked about, right? Yeah. Mostly energy.
Right.
Drinks.
Well, I don't really try to do that much. Once in a blue moon, I'll have them, but for the most part, no. It's smart water.
Does it make you smarter?
No, it doesn't. And I just spend a lot more money on this than the regular 7-Eleven water.
Actually, you had a refrigerator at your old gym too.
No, right. Yeah.
I remember that because there's times where I forgot to bring my water.
Oh yeah. We had to sell well, of course, people need to have water, so we had to.
Well, you can look into that afterwards, really, and stuff like that. But where is your gym located?
It's on Route 33 in Hamilton. It's at 1800 Route 33 in Hamilton. The website is PRIMAL, JYM, not GYM,
Yep.
J.
We have it like that to promote.
Just a play on the
gym.
On gym, for me and for the gym. So, and it looks good.
It does look good.
Yeah, I redesigned the logo too, and I made it more realistic, and it looks pretty badass.
And you have a lot of classes. What classes do you have going on?
Okay, we got a class called Warrior Fit. Warrior Fit is a conditioning 30-minute class, mostly interval, that get your heart rate way up high really quickly. There's no, it's all meat and potatoes. It's right to it. There's no side salad. There's no dessert. We're going and kicking your ass. And people, I got to tell you how successful of a program that was, because people enjoyed that. I could go in, get slaughtered, and go.
Because that's the reason. That's what they want.
Right.
Yeah,
they didn't want to waste a whole bunch of time with nonsense. And then it's followed by either boxing or kickboxing, depending on the night.
Yeah.
It's about an hour and a half. So that's a good flow. Then there's submission fighting, ground fighting, a variety of different. Not any one particular art, just a combination of everything I've done.
Okay.
And then the close quarter combatives as well, which is essentially self-defense, weapons training, all kinds of stuff like that.
Nunchucks?
No, there would be no nunchuck.
What weapons?
Maybe knives, sticks, bats,
Oh, okay, that type of thing.
Right, so there's weapons like if you're carrying a pocket knife or a gun or whatever, or a taser or pepper spray, you learn how to use that. And then there will be improvised weapons. Grabbing something off the counter and
so teaching you something. Okay,
right.
yeah.
Well, because in the reality, you're not always going to have whatever on you. You might have to pick something up and bonk something.
Or have like a bobby pin in your hair that you can use to stab somebody.
Right. So that's a big study. So there's defense against weapons, how to use weapons, situational awareness. We put yourself in worst case scenarios. Someone's on top of you choking. What do you do? That kind of stuff.
Yep.
A lot of live training and skill training in this stuff. It involves a bunch of different arts, from Kaju Kembo to Jeet Kune Do, the Bruce Lee art, and a variety of other ones that you just mix and match. And through all the use and all the exposure, I'm able to there's a book called, I believe it was called Barring Brilliance, was the actual name of the book. But where you just see something, I like that. I like that elbow. I like that kick. I'm just going to take that and make it part of your own thing.
Okay.
And that's essentially what I've done. And I've been doing it for a long time, very hard, very seriously, where you can think about it and digest it and process it. And then there's, I analyze it legitimately. It's just not okay, I just like this. And sometimes that's cool. It's like, I'll give you an example. I would do a seminar somewhere, and I'm showing you, this is what you do when someone does this, and you do whatever this move is. And it's not very exciting. And then I'll show some kind of cool ninja move, and everyone wants to know the cool ninja move.
What cool ninja move?
I don't know.
Show me.
I can't. But it's a cool, there's a lot more. It's more like the movies, like Jackie Chan stuff.
Gotcha.
And it's fun, it's cool, it's great to play with. But in reality, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you if you do it.
Of course.
You're better off just doing whatever.
It's like everybody's like, show me from the movies what you know.
Right, what can you
exactly.
do, right? Show me the magic, right? And it doesn't really exist. So.
And for memberships, how does that work exactly? Like price-wise or anything regarding for membership?
So we've got a couple different price points depending on what you're looking to do.
Okay.
So the best thing for people to do is just reach out through the website, call the gym, and then we'll come in, we'll talk about it. Because everybody's different. There's personal training, there's small group. Like if you and 5 friends wanted to come in and just do a thing for you guys at noon or something, we have that. Classroom training, of course. But it's a small enough gym that everyone gets personal attention. You don't get lost in the crowd. How I always teach is that let's assume you and I are more advanced and we're working.
Oh, so I'm not advanced? Okay.
No, we are advanced. We are advanced. And then the people over here aren't as. So maybe they won't be doing quite the same thing. We might all start out doing the same thing.
But then we switch to something different.
Then we go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're still on that. So so in the classroom, I'm the one bouncing around like a pinball, trying to make sure everyone's doing whatever, answering questions.
Similar but different, right? Like you'd be like,
100%.
these people over here are doing something.
Right.
Or
So,
you would just tell them.
So in that's why I don't have a beginner class. In a boxing class, let's say, for example, someplace that have beginner, but I don't have that. So I have people who've been day one in a boxing class, and I have guys who are fighting pro in the ring, 5 feet from them. How do you do that dance? I'm able to do it by just, this is your goal, boom, watch, and I partner people appropriately so they can get raised to whatever level that they need to go to achieve that success.
Do you put body weight together too as a certain thing?
It
Like
depends.
from school,
ideally
or
when
whatever?
you're practicing martial arts, is that we are the same height, weight, age, whatever, essentially, is the best way, right, to work the skill sets. But you need to fight a guy my size, at some level.
So that's what I'm saying. That's like part of it then too, right?
Right, so you have to experience that. It's unfair because...
Or build yourself up to 100%,
that. In the street, your attacker is not going to care that they're... Matter of fact, they want you smaller and weaker, right? So you have to experience that as well.
So you learn both ways.
You do both, but in general, when we're doing skill training, and also, look, people like each other. Some people work better together than other. There's always that person in the gym that no one wants to work with.
I'm just going to say, do you feel like you ever had to deal with somebody like that?
All the time. Yeah, and then you're like,
Or it's just a situation that nobody wants to work with them just because of a certain...
Well, because sometimes...
people could be cranky.
Right.
There could be an attitude.
There are people that always would, let's say, we'll just use boxing since we've talked. Let's say we're doing light sparring. I mean, we're just touching gloves and moving around. But they seem to be thinking in their head that they're fighting for the title, and they're coming at you hard and they're trying to take your head off. That's not what we're doing.
Correct.
Or that they change the drill up. They decide they want to see something else.
Different.
They're doing and I've said to people, look, if maybe you should just go open up your own school and teach your kung fu because it's obviously you don't need my kung fu,
Or something
And I'm saying
different.
it facetiously because there is a reason I'm telling you to do things. I'm not saying you shouldn't explore things, but you're not going to build any expertise only doing something twice and half-ass and probably wrong and then go, oh, I got it. Let's move on to the next cool thing. So you'll know a lot of things. You'll be aware of a lot of things, but you'll be unable to execute at any depth. So when I teach, there's different levels. So let's say there's 10 things you and I ever work. Fitness, martial arts, kung fu, whatever it is, right?
Okay.
10 things.
Yes.
Right? So and let's say that's a first-degree black belt. You learn those 10 things, you're a first-degree black belt, let's say. Well, then how do you become a second-degree black belt or a third or whatever? What's the difference? That is the who, what, where, how, why, and when, and what next. All those questions need to be answered at a deeper understanding. And there's questions off those questions. So it's a never-ending rabbit hole.
Okay.
But how do you understand it?
But is that more exercise deeper into
Well, it could be just a greater understanding of it. There's only so many ways to throw a jab, right? And then there's the philosophy, when do I throw the jab? What angle? How do I time it? There's different kinds of times. There's cadence, tempo, rhythm, right? When you can throw, there's counter time. All this stuff you're unaware of right now. But then you go, wow.
Like, what are you talking about? Cadence and timbo and depo or
you can't
gimbo? Or
really bring that up day one because you're
going to scare me and I'm going to walk out the building.
You're not ready for the truth. So that takes time to get to. Some people get there quicker. Some people will come into the gym and they'll say, hey, how soon before I have a fight? And the answer is, I don't know. It could be tomorrow. It could be never.
Well, it depends, right?
Right.
On them. Or on what them,
which right. But they want me to give them, takes 3 months. But how long is it going to take me to lose this weight? Depends.
A year.
Right? You're right. Right? Some people want the quick fix. They want the magic. Other people will do it.
So if you had somebody that contacted you, say, because you said it's best to contact you on your website, correct? Or your social media or whatever.
Yeah.
If somebody was to contact you, can they message you throughout the website or your social media where they can tell you what their goal they want to do?
Yes.
Or would you have them come in, sit down with them? Do you fill out paperwork?
I always want to talk to whoever.
Of course, because you hate doing it, virtual.
Right, and because
and you want to make sure that they're.
How much does it cost, or what kind of class do you have? What equipment do you have in your
facility? How many people?
Right. Let's have a conversation. I've literally had people go, I'd rather just text, and I said, well, you'd rather go somewhere else. I just don't even entertain it because I want to talk to. Not only that, but I want to know that I can work with you, that I can give you something, and that you're a good fit for the gym. I don't want just anybody.
And somebody that would do homework. Because a lot of people don't do that.
That's right.
I'm doing good with mine.
You are. That's great. And that matters. Like when we talked about, these are the other things you need to do. Didn't ask you to do much. I just asked you to do something so it's achievable and so you can make that happen.
And it's also showing that I have the heart and mind in it, versus you giving it to somebody else. There's I'll just do this once a week. It's whatever.
Right.
There you don't see improvement.
Right.
It's why are we doing this? Why are you wasting my time?
It's obvious to me if it's being done at whatever level.
Well, you could tell regardless. Probably.
Right. So
be like, oh yeah, you're getting abs. You're doing crunches.
Right. So they're not losing the weight, or they're not progressing in their martial arts for whatever reason, and because they wanted to. But okay, well, to you, matter of fact, the guy today, what do I do to work? I gave him some stuff you should work on. Very simple.
Okay.
And this is what you need to do. I'll send you a list of what you should do. When he comes back, I'll be able to tell in a second if he's been doing it at all.
The homework.
Not just once. It's a gazillion times.
Because you can tell.
You can tell. And it never ends, no matter, I was talking to him today, this particular gentleman, and like I've worked with world champions and a variety of different sports, and one of the fighters I was working with, getting him ready for a comeback, we just spent a ton of time on the basics. This is I'm not going to teach him anything new. There's no magic trick, right? We just drilled, and then we fine-tuned just ever so slightly, little adjustments here and there, and a bunch of different things. And when he would go to other places, they were like, wow, you've like stepped it up a level. Like, what are you doing different? I'm not doing something different. I'm just perfecting what I already know. I've carved it away, made it's daily decrease, it's called.
So I'm curious, because I wanted to ask this question too. Regardless if you like watch wrestling on TV, okay?
Right.
Or WWE or Raw or Live or whatever the heck show now it's called, versus what you do in a gym or a ring.
Right.
What's the difference?
Well, look, if you're boxing someone.
Acting?
Well, no, look, I love professional wrestling.
Okay.
I've always been a fan of it. When I was a kid, I had a gym, a ring in my garage, and we were doing professional wrestling in my garage. Now,
kid ring?
No, it was made with a couple mattresses and a couple wires. And
you made it.
I made it.
Okay.
Yeah, so then we would beat the living shit out of each other.
Oh my
God.
God.
Knowing that I'm not really supposed to really elbow you in the face.
Like hurt people.
You're right. But they're tremendous athletes. So gifted. And actually, I've talked to a couple of guys who went from MMA to professional wrestling, and they said that was far more difficult than real fighting. Because in the real fight, which sounds crazy, so you and I are really fighting, I'm really trying to defend myself.
Yeah.
In that, since it's scripted, right, meaning there's a predetermined outcome, when I palm strike you on the chest, boom, hard, I'm really doing that.
Yeah.
I'm really hitting you with a real chair, and I think years ago there was a wrestling crew here. I love it. I think they're great athletes. I could not do what they do. They're not fighters in the same way, but they're definitely fighting tremendous athletes. Probably the greatest entertainers in the world.
But it's completely different from what you
Completely
teach.
different, yeah.
Do you teach that?
No. I wish I did,
Why? You don't want to hit somebody with a chair?
Oh, yes, I do. But anyway, but I think they're great and fantastic, and I have the utmost respect for them. And when I was a kid, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be a professional wrestler, but I was too small. See, now they have little guys, but back then, these guys were all like 300 pounds, 260, muscles on top of muscles.
Now they're really tall, too.
Yeah, and I wasn't in that
realm.
Realm, no, so I had to do other things. But I did. I loved it. Remember, I was a little kid, and I bought a mask and put on that. It took like 6 months out of the back of a comic book. And then I finally got my mask, and I was like, that was a waste of $2.
Oh, back in the day, was $2.
Back in the day, it was $2. It took 6 months. They didn't send it there was no such thing as overnight. Overnight.
Well, honestly, it has been super fun.
Thank you.
Really fun. I feel bad every time I talk to him. He tries to get a drink of water. This whole interview, he keeps trying to go like this. He unscrews the bottle. He puts it here.
And I'm like, I just want to sip of my water.
But you won't hush. So yes, I wish you so much luck with the opening.
Thank
you. Is there like a mayor they're cutting?
Oh, you know what? No, because it's a complete waste of time.
Really?
Yeah, well, years ago, I had that conversation, and then they said, a total waste.
Why?
They're like, well, we can't guarantee any press here. They'll cut and you'll get a photo. I'm like, I could give a shit.
But you should.
Why?
Because it's Hamilton.
Nobody gives a shit.
So one
of the things I've learned.
We need a Hamilton radio ribbon.
Life lesson is no one gives a shit about you.
This is why he has the gym, guys.
That's why I have a sunny disposition. No one gives a shit. Fuck them all.
Well, regardless of that situation, I wish you big luck on your opening.
Thank you.
Really excited. I'll see you again Sunday as well
Yes.
for self-defense.
Yeah.
And I hope that, everybody that tuned in today, you guys get an opportunity to come check him out or contact him. Just get out your social media where people can find you.
Oh, just look up PRIMAL JYM. I don't have any of that memorized. I should, but I don't.
Not your personal gym, McCann?
Well, they can look me up.
Like do you have a Primal Gym for Instagram?
No.
So then how did they do that?
Look, If you can't do the research and figure it out, don't even bother.
Just give them the website. What's the website?
PRIMALJYM.com.
Okay. So just check out the website. Contact him there if you guys want to just reach out, kind of get pricing idea-wise for any of the classes that he currently has. And that's it.
Awesome.
And see what we can do. Hopefully we can make it a big, successful, that whole parking lot will just be yours.
I hope so.
And nobody else's.
Nobody else's.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you again so much, Jim, for being here. So excited for your opening. I really hope it's worth, wow, maybe. I
hope so too.
I wish you had a mirror to cut it, though, because that's something that's like, you know, like big, no?
Yeah, no.
Okay. You could just cut it yourself.
I could cut my own ribbon. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Tune into the Dani Perro Show next Tuesday at 6:30. Have a good night, everyone.